Today we're going to make Greek pasta, and this is a dish that used to be served at a restaurant called Zio's in Springfield, Missouri, where I used to live many years ago. And I don't think Zio's is around anymore, and I don't think they even have it on their menu anymore. But the flavor lives on because my good friend Thelma copied the recipe, basically tasted it enough to make it herself. And now we've even improved on it and made it even better. So kudos to you, Thelma, for turning me onto this recipe years ago. My family has loved it. It's my youngest daughter's absolute favorite. So we call it Greek pasta. And the major change we made from what was on the menu was instead of adding grilled chicken, we add Parmesan crusted chicken, which is really good. So the way we're going to start out is we're going to put some olive oil in our pan and let that warm up a little bit. And then we're going to take our chicken tenders, get a little more oil in here. And I think I'm working with 7 or 8 chicken tenders today. But we have our chicken tenders here. And you may know that there's a little strip in these chicken tenders that always comes in. I'm not sure what it is, but you don't want it in it. It's very chewy and it's gross, so you always gotta take it out. They're hard to get out. So the way you get this little tab of white something or other, I'm sure someone will let me know what that is you take a fork and you put it through this. I don't know if you're zooming in here. And then you hold on to the fork and you take a paper towel and you grab a hold of that little white tab. Whoops, let me try this again. All right, so I got my fork. And I get a hold of it with my paper towel. And then I'm gonna pull it through the fork like that. And see, the whole tab comes out like that. You don't want that in your chicken. It's impossible to break. I don't even know what that is, but it's gross. So I'm gonna do that to all of these, but you don't have to watch me do it to all of them. And then the mix that we're gonna use is, I have 2 beaten eggs over here. And then we're going to, because these have already been rinsed, once I get the little tabs out, we're gonna dip them in the egg and then in this mixture. Now the mixture to make it Parmesan crusted is breadcrumbs, Italian style, and Parmesan cheese, this kind. So I'm gonna need about maybe a cup or so of each one. And just kind of pour it in. That looks like about a cup, I would say. And then on the pour side of your Parmesan, pour in about a cup of that. Maybe a little bit more breadcrumbs. There we go. Now I'm going to take my fork and mix it all up. And this is what we're going to roll it in to make it Parmesan crusted. Just mix all that up real good. All right. And while the oil is heating up, we'll take a break and we'll come right back. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do with our chicken tenders, now that we've pulled the little white tab out of them, we're gonna just give them all a good salt. Like this, because chicken needs salt. And we're gonna dip them in our eggs. They're just eggs that have been beaten. And our mixture of breadcrumbs and Parmesan cheese. And we're gonna start frying them in our olive oil. And we're just gonna do this with all 7 of them. All right. And when you take that little tab out, sometimes it splits your tender in 2. That's okay. It's better to be split in 2 than to have that piece in there.
What a lovely sound.
it is your favorite. All right, one more to go. And that was 2 eggs I had beaten in there. All right. I'm sure we can make room for this one more little guy. Right, actually that's a big one. All right, so we're gonna fry these and we'll be back. While our chicken tenders are frying, we're gonna go ahead and put a little olive oil in our boiling water we got going here. And then we're gonna salt that water pretty good. All right. And then the pasta, you can use really any kind, but for this particular dish, we really like the penne pasta. And I'm just gonna go ahead and
Penne.
Is it penne? I've been corrected. It's the penne pasta. And I prefer the Barilla. So we're just gonna go ahead and do the whole box in our boiling water here. And give that a little stir to stir up our salt and our olive oil. And boil this while we fry our chicken. All right, we'll be back. Okay, so now we're gonna give our chicken a little turn. Hopefully it'll be nice and golden brown. Oh yes, that's what we'd like to see. And oh, that is looking good. That Parmesan is starting to crisp along with the Italian seasoning of the breadcrumbs. And it's looking marvelous. All right, so we're gonna let the other side cook for a while. And then we're gonna make our little sauce that goes on it. It's not really a sauce, but what we're gonna drape over the pasta. And then we're gonna add the chicken. And we're gonna top it all with feta cheese. It's gonna be fantastic. Okay, we'll be back. All right, so after I turned the chicken over the first time, I did cover it for to cook so the meat cooks all the way through, because you don't wanna have to burn the outside to get the inside of the chicken done. So it cooks the chicken much quicker if you close the lid. So I went ahead and put a lid on it, and now it's already, I'm sure, oh wow, nice. Ready to come out of the pan. Let's give it a look. Oh yeah, those are perfect. And you can really make as many of these as you would like. And also these are great warmed up when you have leftovers, which we probably will tonight. Oh man, those are pretty. Oops, that was too tender. It's already breaking apart. All right, so what we're gonna do in this hot pan, now that we've got our chicken out, so we're gonna put a little more olive oil in the same pan. Okay, we're gonna throw our garlic in. I use quite a bit. All right, I'm gonna fry that garlic a little bit with the olive oil. Turn this down a little bit. Oh, that looks perfect. Very nice. And then we're gonna throw in 2 chopped up green onions. And then normally what I do is I have a can of diced tomatoes with oregano and garlic and basil. But when I checked my cupboard, I didn't actually have those kind of diced tomatoes. But I do have Rotel, and I've used Rotel before. And it's just gonna have the chilies in it, so that's okay. It's the only thing that's different. Gonna add those now. But really, my preference would be the chopped tomatoes or diced tomatoes with the garlic and the basil and the oregano. So now we're gonna take our basil and season. And we're gonna season with oregano. And now it's pretty much the same thing, except it has green chilies in it also. But that's okay, I like green chilies. Oh, it smells good. All right, so we're gonna cook this down for just a few minutes. And then we're gonna add in Kalamata olives. So we'll be back to do that in a minute. We've got our little sauce concoction cooked down a little bit. And now we're going to add our Kalamata olives. You can really use any brand you like. This is just what we have. And I would say maybe 3 tablespoons. And then we don't keep it in here too terribly long, because we're not really wanting to cook the olives. We just want it in here for the flavor. And my mother loves the flavor that the Kalamata olive brings to this little sauce concoction, but she does not like the olives. So they're nice and big, and you can pull them out if you've got somebody who doesn't like those. It's easy to do. So we're gonna cover this and turn down the heat. And then our pasta is almost ready. And so we'll be right back to continue on. All right, so our pasta is done, and I know it's done because I just took one piece of it out, put it on the counter, and cut it like with a fork, and it would cut no problem. So it's good and ready to go. Whenever you drain your pasta, you want to make sure your sink is clean, because anything that's in your sink will back up into your pasta. Nobody wants sink pasta. All right, so we're just gonna pour this out. You might want to go slow if you've got a colander like I do, because the holes are very small. It takes a little while for the water to get through, and you don't want this boiling hot water to splash back on you. So we'll just kind of go slow until we get the bulk of the water out. Okay, and then keep your pot out, because you're going to put the pasta back in the pot. All right. Okay, so be sure not to put it on the burner that you had on. You don't want to burn your pasta. So we are ready now to add our mixture that's been simmering. Oh, this looks so lovely. So you just pour it all in like that. And then you're going to give it a little toss. That is exactly what it's going to look like. Everything's nice and coated. We got everything in there. And now we're going to plate this up with our chicken that we made and top it off with feta cheese. Be right back.